how did you go about basically raising money? Because there's a bunch of people listening right now, like, I've got a great idea. I don't know how to, either get to a prototype or what's the Gagan playbook? Because you've done it 3 times.
Sure. I think that it starts with having a vision. And this is the part that I think most people actually miss is that you can't raise money and you can't build a successful company unless there's a destination that you're trying to get to that could be a big company. And most people, when I hear their ideas, their business doesn't have even the potential to make 100 million or 500 million in revenue, which is what it takes to build a company that's worth over a couple $1 billion, which is what it takes for a venture capitalist to want to invest. So it's perfectly fine to start a business that doesn't raise venture capital, has a different potential. I mean, I've started a conference business. It was a great conference. It made, hundreds of thousands of dollars and was a really satisfactory part of my career. But that business wasn't intended to have this big vision. It was just, hey, I'm going to do something now and it's going to be, it's going to be valuable for people, and I'm going to do it a couple of times and we'll see what happens. With Udemy, we always had the vision that it was going to be a big marketplace. I mean, we envisioned that it was going to be like YouTube or eBay, or Odesk. Those were companies at the time that we could look at, and Odesk is now called Upwork. Uh, and so we always had this idea and so every step that we were taking along the way involved us either adapting the vision to it. So saying, oh, our old vision's actually not going to work. Our old vision was a bunch of live courses on this site. That's not going to work. We're going to do recorded courses. So that's an adaptation of the vision. And then you have to ask yourself, okay, does that vision still have the potential, if it was a really big company, to be hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue? And the answer was yes, but the answer could very well be no. The second option is not adapting the vision, but adapting the plan so that it still is along the path towards the vision, right? Imagine you and I are going on a walk, right, Chase? And if you ever visited me, this would be a very common thing I'd recommend us do. Like, especially if we had half a day together, I'd be like, Chase, why don't we just go for a walk? And I have an idea in my head of where that walk might end up. I kind of have a route. I'm in, let's say we're in San Francisco and we start in downtown. I know that eventually I want to end in Golden Gate Park because it'd be really fun to see the sunset, right? But there's so many different ways we could get to Golden Gate Park. We're not going to walk in a straight line, right? You'd walk through some really rough neighborhoods. You wouldn't really enjoy it. It'd be boring, and also it wouldn't be practical. It wouldn't be the point of the day. But you still have to get to Golden Gate Park at the end. And I think one of the things that we did well at Udemy was when we realized that coding courses were going to be big, we didn't say, okay, now we're just going to rebrand the entire site, make it all about coding, and we're going to sell the public on coding courses and ignore the rest of the vision. We fit the coding courses into the vision. So those courses were clearly part of a marketplace where you could still learn business fundamentals. You could still get a, 48-hour MBA. You could still take courses on Photoshop, right? Courses that were not coding. So because we still held the vision in the future in our heads and then adapted our own execution towards that vision, we had a much higher likelihood of achieving it. And, funny enough, like, our vision came true. Like, most of what Udemy is today is, especially on the consumer side, is basically exactly what we were talking about 15 years ago when we started the company. And so I think that was a critical part, was having that destination, and doing whatever it took, but in service to both getting to the next step while also making sure that that next step was going to get us to the eventual goal.